simple game. 22 players. 1 ball, 2 goals, and 90 minutes that can change everything. Yet somehow, this simple game became the heartbeat of the entire planet. It is played in crowded cities and quiet villages, on beaches and mountains, on grass, sand, and even concrete, from the poorest neighborhoods to the richest stadiums. Football belongs to everyone, more than 4 billion people watch it. Millions play it every single day. Billions feel it deep inside their hearts. No other sport creates this much passion. No other game unites humanity like this. But football was not always a global empire. It did not begin with bright lights, giant arenas, or superstar players. It began with something much smaller, much simpler, a ball and a dream. Thousands of years ago, long before modern civilization, people were already kicking objects with their feet. In ancient China, during the Han Dynasty, soldiers trained with a game called Kyuju. They kicked a leather ball filled with feathers through a small opening in a net. They were not allowed to touch the ball with their hands. Only their feet, only control, only skill. It improved their strength, balance, and discipline, but it also created something unexpected. Joy. People gathered to watch. They cheered. They celebrated. Even then, football was entertainment. Far away in ancient Greece, players competed in a game called Episk. YROS. In Rome, they played harpastum. These games were rough and aggressive. Players pushed, ran, and fought for control. But the core idea was the same. Move the ball, work as a team. Score. Win. These early games were chaotic, but they planted the first seeds of what football would later become. Centuries passed, kingdoms rose and fell, civilizations disappeared. Yet the simple idea of kicking a ball survived because it was natural, because it was fun. Because humans loved to play. Then came the moment that changed everything. Fast forward to 19th century England. Factories were growing, cities were crowded, young students in schools and universities loved playing ball games after class. But there was a problem. Every school had different rules. Some allowed hands, some allowed tackling, some allowed carrying the ball like rugby. Matches often ended in fights and arguments. Nobody could agree on what football really was. The game needed order. It needed structure. It needed rules. So in 1863, a group of men met in London. Inside a small room, they made a historic decision. They created the Football Association. For the first time ever, official rules were written. No hands. No carrying. No violence. Only passing, only dribbling. Only teamwork, only skill. That single moment gave birth to modern football. From that day forward, the game had identity. And once football had rules, it began to spread faster than anyone imagined. The British Empire traveled across oceans. Ships sailed to every continent. Workers moved to new lands. Students studied abroad. And everywhere they went, football followed. Sailors kicked balls on docks. Workers played after long days in factories. Children formed teams in SCHOOLYARDS. Soon, Europe fell in love with the game. Then South America. Then Africa. Then Asia. Football crossed every border because it required almost nothing. You didn't need expensive equipment. You didn't need a perfect field. Sometimes a pair of shoes or even bare feet were enough. Anything could become a ball. Cloth. Paper. Plastic. Seal beam. YouTube. The 25th of January 2026, 1402. That is why football became the people's game. Anyone could play. Anywhere. At any time. In Brazil, kids played barefoot on the beach until sunset. In Argentina, Narrow streets became stadiums. In Africa. Dusty fields became arenas of dreams. In poor neighborhoods. Football gave children hope. It gave them purpose. It gave them a future. Football was no longer just a sport. It became culture. It became identity. It became life itself. As the game grew bigger around the world. Nations wanted to compete internationally. They wanted organization. They wanted championships. So in 1904, several countries came together and created FIFA. The Federation Internationale, the Football Association. One organization to unite the world through football. One vision, one global game. And soon, they imagined something extraordinary. A tournament where the best national teams would compete for glory. A world championship. The World Cup. In 1930, Uruguay hosted the very first World Cup. Only 13 teams participated. Some traveled for weeks by ship. Conditions were simple, but the atmosphere was electric. Fans filled them. Stands. Flags waved everywhere. Voices echoed through the streets. For the first time in history, nations competed to become world champions. It was more than sport. It was pride. It was honor. It was history. Since then, the World Cup has created the greatest moments football has ever seen. Last-second goals, impossible comebacks, penalty, shootouts that stopped hearts, victories that made entire countries celebrate all night, defeats that brought millions to tears. For years, the entire planet stops. Schools pause, work slows down, families gather around screens. Because when the World Cup begins, nothing.
Just tripping on day. Dreams got dirty, little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.